Hi Pinkfresh friends, this is Leah Lawson and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I wanted to chat a little bit about die cutting with our Slim Cuts dies. So we have two options in our Slim Cuts. The single designs, which are made from a larger sheet of metal, but then we also have our nested designs, which have multiple die cuts within the set, which give you more versatility and pass along savings. So we've had a couple of emails mentioning that when they cut those inner dies, that sometimes they get a little bit of a warp on their paper. Not on their die, but on the piece of paper that the die is cut from. So we contacted our die supplier to just verify a couple things. First, to make sure that we had designed them correctly and to make sure that there weren't any flaws. So as we consulted with them, they let us know that this is more just a product of the size of the die. When these dies are run through a die cut machine, due to the nature of their size, they have the possibility of moving or shifting within your die cutting sandwich. Now, what I had noticed is that I didn't actually have that problem that some people were having where the cut had just a little bit of like an indentation or just a warp inward. And so I thought back to what I have been doing when I die cut with our Slim Cuts dies. And so what I do is I trim whatever paper it is down to just slightly larger than the size of the die that I happen to be cutting. And then I place my die face down on top of that piece of paper on my cutting plate. And then I tape it down with two nice sized pieces of low-tack tape. Now, you definitely want to make sure that you are referencing the sandwich for your die cutting machine and using the proper sandwich. But this tip can be used in all die cut machines. Just make sure that you're using that correct sandwich option for yours. I cut with a Gemini Junior, so I use this sandwich option here. Now, for this set right here that we're seeing is that very thin small die on the inside, and I am cutting it from a 100-pound white cardstock. And what you're going to see when I pull it off of the cutting plate here is that it is perfectly straight. I don't get any weird warping or indentation on my cut. It stays nice and straight. And so I contribute that to taping down each side of both the paper and the die to my cutting plate. So finally, we are also going to cut out that smallest die from this same set, from the same 100-pound white cardstock that I cut the previous one from. And same as before, and same as all three, I didn't get any weird warping or indentations. So I highly suggest using a low-tack tape when you are die cutting with our Slim Cuts tape. Now, I use actually just a delicate surface painter's tape because I am not really worried about it pulling up any of my paper. You can use Post-it tape, you can use washi tape, you can use purple tape. That's really up to you. Use whatever you like, but I just highly suggest taping your die and your paper down before you run it through your machine. So now that we have all of those pieces cut, how about we just go ahead and make a slimline card? So we recently released a really beautiful set of alpha stamps and dies. They are called Leah's Ornate and Heather's Alphas. Yes, I'm super excited that I have an alpha named after me. I find that it's just an honor and exciting. So I am starting with Leah's Ornate Uppercase here for the H. I am stamping it in our Summer Shower ink. And we are going to spell out the word happy for this card in all different colors. And these alphas are just so fun to use. Now, the really great thing about these is you can use them interchangeably. So this A is from Heather's Lowercase. So the letters are all the same font. The difference is for Leah's Ornate upper and lowercase sets, they just have some added swashes and fanciness, but they match perfectly with Heather's lower and uppercase stamps and dies. So they can be used interchangeably, which is just perfect for versatility. You can do so many custom sentiments on your cards. They're also perfect for creating titles on your scrapbooking layouts. So very versatile for all types of paper crafters out there. So this P, which I just love, I love the beautiful swash on the bottom, is from Leah's Ornate Lowercase. I am stamping this one in our Ballet slipper, which is our lightest pink. Now I am going to go ahead and stamp this twice because while I do want that very light pink, I want to stamp it twice just to give it a little bit of a deeper tone. And I know I didn't mention this, but that A is stamped in our sweet mustard color. Now, as I continue stamping this word happy, I also wanted to mention that these stamps come with coordinating dies. And those dies not only cut out the letter, but they also cut out this thin, intricate border, which just gives you so many more options. Now, the second P was stamped in Coral Reef, which is another pink option that's one of my favorites in our line of inks. And then finally, the Y is stamped in Sapphire. That Y comes from Leah's Ornate Uppercase. I just love that you can mix and match both the uppercase and lowercase for really beautiful sentiments. And as you can see, I did my very best to match the inks to that piece of pattern paper that I die cut earlier in the video. So to finish the sentiment, I am using a die from our latest Phrase Builder Happy set. This is a huge die cut set, all about celebrations. There's holidays in there, there's birthday, anniversary, just lots of great things. So I went ahead and die cut the word birthday from gold foil and the shadow from vellum. And then I also die cut the word birthday a couple more times from white cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and use a glue pen to stack and layer the 3 scripted birthday word pieces together. This just gives it a little bit of added dimension. It will help to give it some dimension off of that shadow background that I've cut from the vellum, and it's just a really nice touch. Now I use a couple of different glues when I'm working with my die cuts. For attaching the scripted word to the shadow word, I'm using a little bit thicker, more substantial glue. And what this does is it just allows me a little bit more time to adhere it down, make sure, I can fuss with it a little bit and make sure that it is all lined up correctly, but then it will adhere down with a really good bond. Now I just add a few drops here and there around the die to adhere it down, and that typically is plenty. Now to put the tittle on the eye, I use that same glue, and then I will use a jewel picker to grab the tittle and add it on there. I don't typically do multiple layers for the tittle. I will typically just add whatever color it is that I used on the top. So at this point, it's now time to start putting that card together. I've cut a 4x9 card from very light pink cardstock, and I am just layering both the patterned paper and the stamped pieces together to the top with some foam tape. I am also adding the die cut birthday word to the top, also with foam tape, and just arranging it so it comes right after that beautiful stamped happy word. So the final touch to all of my cards that I do is I am adding some Pinkfresh jewels in dark blue, dark pink, and yellow. I just arrange these jewels typically in trios. Now these jewels have 3 sizes, so I typically pick a larger, medium, and small size for my trio. And then I'm just going to glue it down with some liquid glue that I have transferred into the bottle with the thin tip applicator, which just makes adhering down jewels like this easier. So I hope that this video gives you some additional tips for using our Slim Cuts dies and getting good results every single time, because we would never want you to be frustrated. So just be sure to use some low tack tape when you're die cutting, and it will help immensely. All right, friends, we would love for you to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you don't yet. But other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day.